right in the heart with a silver bullet.
Yeah. I think they plotting on me. Don't fight this beat when they enter the lab. I feel a force there. Think I ain't looking. Maybe because I'm focused. No hands out for the hopeless. Funny bullets, I caught some shots. Another piece of the puzzle connecting dots. You can find the truth of laughter and liquor. One more shot to an empty bottle. If she gon' walk there like a model for me, like I don't see her intentions all in my scope. At a time we were just friends, with advice to land. Not special, I was dead broke, but we still got hope. Don't take my words, just pack and issue that raw dough. Just pack and issue that raw dough. Pack and issue that raw dough. To the people that listen to my people, they know that I do care. With their hands in the air, rocking side to side. Now my work, yeah, it's time to ride. Where my niggas at? My niggas ain't my niggas no more. Push me to the back, label to change up his swag. I do it for us, I'm pro-black. Don't rock it the shit get, wouldn't be so all type of African shit. Just rock a table fade, swagger tailor-made. Polo collars and fly kicks. Just polo collars and fly kicks. Exclusive shit, not get wig. Keep it coming, just don't stop. The revolution starts with shots.
I'm respectful to my people, and I want to represent my people, and I don't want to be a bad representative. I can't be blind, because the blind lead the blind, they all follow the shit.
Now my mama said, baby, act like you got sense. They act like I only act right for Lent. Been living in purgatory, brown nosing for heaven. Not sure if I'm getting in, cause I ain't paid a reverend. Who looking at me when I ain't looking, judging my character? I can't put down my guard on this planet, back in the camera. Ready for my close-up, the lens gets bigger. Won't play me on BET, cause I am not a nigga. My heart is like a powder keg, ready to explode. Smell like strange food, cause I'm America's cologne. It started with the hello, think you're a nice fellow. You're ballin' like Carmelo, you treat you like a fellow. L.A.R. be the star, turn a rapper to a prophet. Bulletproof 306, keep your hands in your pocket. Jordan rules for my life, you contain them, can't stop them. I'm niggas sky high, so the clouds can't drop them. My life is like a miracle, my words are just superior. I'm edible, I'm audible, I'm digital, I'm visual. Spit like Komodo, go like Bruce Lee, Roy B, and the mean as bad as Mofo in the dojo. Life is so amazing and raps like Jesus. They said hip hop is dead, but today look like Easter.
Now I wake up in the morning, I'm black and handsome as ever. However, you see me as strange fruit, will it ever happen, not again. A crook and just a homicide, he know it's self-defense. But since I'm black and since he white, he got no common sense. That's 1969, and he ain't Jesus Christ. He ain't coming back on Easter, he ain't got a second life. You know I'm right? Hold up, look. Now the sirens in my window here, pull it over. License and registration, gun ain't never in the holster. Plus, that man black too, he wanna act too. A nigga with an attitude and a badge too. A couple tattoos, hoping I act a fool so he can squeeze too. But it ain't nothing different, they the same thing. They pull him over, he gon' get the same thing. Maybe 2 up in his brain, 21 gun salute. Last words was I'm a copy, last heard fuck you. And he ain't coming back, you know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter, y'all say goodbye. Everybody cry, second line. But when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, they know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter, everybody cry. Y'all say goodbye, second line. But when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, I'm gone. And now she want welfare. Lost said that they can't live there, so we ain't there. And life ain't fair, but the food free and the rent cheap. His roaches where you sleep. He still came around and taught you baseball. Bought a Barbie doll, he raised all of y'all. And now the kids adults, they both up in the court. She want that child support, he on that child support. But he ain't never taught him baseball, and she ain't never bought him Barbie dolls. They both never there, no, never, not at all. Saying, well, pull your pants up, go while your ass out. They looking back saying, why, y'all ain't ever in the house? You got it backwards, don't you? I'm saying, cause we still preaching unity. And it's supposed to be family first in community. Got it in church to $1 for your blessing. We made in God's image, thinking we're Satan's mind. They got us crossed up, now Judas is Caesar. America bury me, but I ain't coming back for Easter. You hear me? They know I'm black like Jesus. but I ain't coming back for Easter. Y'all say goodbye. Everybody cry. Second line, but when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, they know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter. Everybody cry. Y'all say goodbye. Second line, but when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, I'm gone. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail. It's going to be live on The Best Man, the final chapter. Not necessarily a movie. It's a mini-series. It's on Peacock. If you can get Peacock for free, but you got to pay like $4.99 or $5.99 a month to check out this series. I think it's a great series. I went to see. On another note, I went to see Avatar 2 today. I might talk about that in a different video. But I really think The Best Man is good. It's really good to me. I always like The Best Man. I like the first one, The Holiday, and now this one. But I'm going to talk about it from a Black manosphere point of view and perspective, and a Black community perspective for what I saw. And they may be spoiler alerts, but I'm doing it character by character, or couple by couple, in a sense, and I'm gonna relate these things to us as a community. So, if anybody watched The Best Man, I give you the character names. Sometimes I forget the names. I'm not even gonna lie, but I give you the actors. If I forget the names. So let's start with Lance, which is Morris Chestnut. The storyline starts with a grieving husband who is just not as good as he's just kind of lost, and he's basically drowning in sorrow and sex. He's a celebrity. He's still a celebrity. He's still famous. He's still rich. Girls still want him. And to get over his wife, he's getting over and under and behind a bunch of chicks. And at some point, he meets somebody who he likes as a person, but they're taken. And then he finds himself back home lost, looking for a purpose. All he knew how to do was football, right? He was great at it, and now he's not great at anything else. And so he starts, trying different careers to find his niche. And he ultimately goes back and plays football at 176 years old. But he don't last that long because he could still play, but he didn't realize he was hitting as hard now. So he wound up getting a job as a coach, which suited him, right? He gave him some kind of purpose and something to get up for. Now, as a parent, he wasn't neglecting his kids, but he didn't know how to do certain things because his wife died. And the issue was, of course, he got 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, but they focused on the 2 oldest ones. Well, really the one oldest child, which happens to be a boy, which happens to be gay. They're going to say non-binary, he was just gay. And that was a storyline of can a father accept his gay son? And his son, he didn't come out to his father. He came out to everybody else but his father. When he got caught coming out, not necessarily, he didn't come out to the friends either, to his godparents or this, that, and the third. He came out to one of them, and then the other ones found out subsequently by accident.
And at the end of the day, the son runs away. They think he gets killed. He's got a gay boyfriend, and the gay boyfriend acts like he don't want to tell the father where he ran off to. And the dad's thinking the kid didn't went around and got himself killed or killed himself because, the cops was talking to him about, people in that community often off themselves if they feel misunderstood. And at the end of the day, him and his son got cool. His son came out of the closet, and his father was all right with him, because his father's a religious man. And then he found love again. Cool. All right, so next would be Harper. I forget the wife's name. Harper is God dog it. I was about to say Lorenz Tate, but it's not Lorenz Tate. Tay Diggs. Harper's Tay Diggs. Him and his wife. The wife was Sanaa Lathan. Basically, the storyline was Harper's ambitious, and his wife is a philanthropist, and that clashes in a marriage because he wants to go higher and higher and higher in life, and she wants to be a community, like save the community, and he doesn't mind her using the money to do it, but at the same time, she's still kind of upset at him because she still wants to do her thing, and she feels like she's, holding the house together under his shadow. Because when he gets to go off and do things, he just goes off and does them. But ultimately, when he goes off and does things, it makes them rich enough that she can be an activist. So ultimately, what winds up happening is she gets mad, and they work through their problems, and then she ups and leaves. He wanted to buy a new house. She didn't want to buy a new house. Then something happened, and she's like, okay, you can buy the house. And then she wanted to start a business, and the building thing fell through. And at the point, she had a crush on a guy, so while her husband was away working, she was crushing on this dude, but it didn't go anywhere. But ultimately, she felt like her husband wasn't supporting her in her endeavors. And he was like, look, you don't stick with anything. You start something, but then you quit and you move on to the next thing. So it's hard for me to support your endeavors when you don't stick to it. So ultimately, because of this, they start falling apart. And when they fall apart, they wind up getting divorced because she thinks that Harper, Tay Diggs' character, is messing with Jordan again, which is Nia Long, but that's not really the case. But she gets a divorce, takes half, and tells him she's moving to Ghana with their kid. And he's like, wait a minute, I thought you was gonna move somewhere in New York. You trying to go to a whole other continent with my kid. So they have a falling out about that. And ultimately she goes to Ghana and takes the daughter with her. And he winds up keep climbing the ladder and becomes a more successful writer and fulfills the things that he is reaching for. Excuse me. Merch and Candy. Merch, of course, if anybody knows, Merch was Harold Pernew, you know what I'm saying? With the dreads, he cut them off. Candy, is Regina? Is it King of Hill? Regina Hall, King of Hall. I forget which one. But the one that was a stripper that became, working working at the school. They get there together, and one of their kids have bad anxiety. So the mom, Candace, wants to try holistic medicine. So she's dealing with the herbs, and sometimes the herbs to deal with the kid's anxiety. And the kids got anxiety, blah, blah, blah. One of them has anxiety. So she's going to get an education, further her education, and doing like a dissertation to get there, you know. So to get there, what's up, Bucket? And in the process, a few things happen. One that's important: Merch runs into a Karen with his daughters, and the Karen does a Karen thing, and the cops come save the day for a crying Karen who was in the wrong, and now his kids are at odds because one kid wanted dad to fight the Karen, and the other kid was like, "What, you want him to get shot for a Karen situation? We ain't gonna have a dad." So it became that, which led to something where there was a movie. They made a movie about the original book that the first movie was made on. And Merch saw his character in the book, and his character was a sucker, you know. And he didn't like that. And he needed an outlet. So with the Karen incident, he started fighting, you know, as an outlet. And his wife, she was working on her dissertation. So on the side, Merch is out there busting heads because ultimately, Merch, he was always the nice guy, and he held it all in. He felt like his feelings were getting trampled on. He was angry inside, so he needed to release that. His wife wanted to become something, you know, that would help become something better and help the kids. And ultimately, you know, she had, as a college student back in college, her advisor that was white was thrown under the bus, and she got an advisor that was black who was helping her along the way. And then he tried to help himself to that cookie and kind of broke her heart. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they came together because of that. You know, she saw him fighting. Because she didn't know he was fighting, and he exposed to her. She exposed to him what happened, and he was like, you know, he wanted to crack the dude upside the head, but she's like, no, I just need you. That's it. You know, and then we got Quentin and Shelby. The Terrence Howard. I forget the lady's name who played Shelby. I'm sorry. They started because Quentin was getting married to somebody else. It was Nicole Ari Parker that he was about to get married to. And Shelby crashed the wedding to get her man back, and she ultimately got him back. And they get back together. They have a family with her and a daughter. And basically, and Q is taking over Dad's family business. And Q gets a big bag, you know. Q gets a big bag. And what I mean by big bag, he gets offered a big bag from a conglomerate to buy his father's company or to buy pieces of it. What's up? So the father goes off on Quentin, which is Terrence Howard's character, because he's like, son, you never want to build stuff. You just want to take the easiest way out and sell out to the highest bidder. Now, the bag he was talking about, hey, man, the money they offering, you know, it can set up our kids for life. And he's like, and his dad like, it ain't about that, man. You got to, you know, we got to have something of our own. His wife, Shelby, wanted to get back into entertainment. And she worked her way back into it. She got a break with Jordan, Nia Long character. So she got back into that. And then she saw herself from being the it girl to the housewife girl to being not so light to being back like somebody on a View or something. And then seeing the young up-and-coming girls come up and be like, oh, man, I guess, you know, it's over for me. Or it's winding down. And going through menopause and this, that, and the third. And I think the most important part was between Q and Shelby, the daughter, I think it was Kennedy. And I figured this was true before this came, you know, in the last one, but they said it in this one that the Shelby's daughter, Q's actually her father. But he basically held that back from Q for like 10 years. And then when they got married, it got revealed, right? And so that became an issue. But Q knew it was messed up, but he already married, he didn't care. And And most important, we was talking about mortality because Q had a heart attack and he wanted to be free and be Q, but now because of the heart attack, they got to have him structured and he don't like that, But his dad, by the way, is going through like Alzheimer's or something. So he had to take over anyways. I think he sold the company, when his dad said, just fine, you can have it. Because his dad was faltering in his health. And Quentin was like, he don't care about the business. He just want to worry about his dad. So moving on to the last part, which is Jordan, which is Nia Long's character. Same old thing with, she wanted to be the boss chick, female empowerment kind of woman who, climbed the corporate ladder, and she got that. And along the way, she figured out, it was stressing her out all get out to the point it was killing her, and she was having, issues. And then, she wants to take over as godmother, for the kids, because Mia's dead, of course. She wants to help out as much as she can. And then she got everything she asked for, but she thought was going to be pregnant. And that didn't happen. And then she realized she really wanted a kid now. And now, because of the career, it's too late. And she was hoping that this situation was that. And she got with a guy who she knew back in the day again. And they rekindled. And then he got jealous of Tay Diggs' character, Harper. And she got mad because he was out of pocket for his jealousy. But she dug in what he did for a living, some of his investments. She was like, dude, you talking about him? What are you doing over here with this company over here? So they ultimately broke up. And she didn't know if she was pregnant or not, or pregnant by him or not. Or she knew if she was pregnant, she would have been pregnant by him, but she didn't tell him. But she wound up not being pregnant. Now, I laid all of that down so I can get to really the meat of this stuff. And what I saw, from my perspective, great series, but I'm going to talk about the more controversial things. It had a bit of the agenda in it. Now, the only bad thing that I can say as far as the men are concerned, all of Harper had a daughter. Lance had 4 kids. He had 2 boys and 2 girls, but like I said, they focused on the oldest son and the oldest daughter. So the son was basically gay, and the daughter, she didn't do much. Murch and Candace had 2 daughters, and Quentin and Shelby had 1 daughter. So the only experience you got of the Black youth was teenage girls, like young girls, teenage girls, almost grown girls, and a gay son. So they had nothing that dealt with the young Black male, per se. Not per se, but literally. Young Black heterosexual male. So there was agenda-y on that. Now, the other thing is, like, the overarching thing that I liked about it was everybody was trying to get higher in life, but they were always losing something, Lance, he lost his wife. Harper, Lance lost his wife to death. Harper lost his wife to divorce. Quentin was losing his father, but lost his health. Shelby was losing her social media career. They were climbing, but they were still losing at the same time. And Murch, he felt like Murch felt like he had lost himself in being a nice guy so long. And his wife lost herself when she thought her mentor was going to be her mentor, and he tried to be her sugar daddy. So even though they were ascending, they were losing stuff. And they were always there for each other in the loss. And and Jordan, she lost her. She thought she could climb the corporate ladder and find a man at the end of the day, and it didn't work. So she lost out on love. You know, the love of her life multiple times, and being a mother, a wife, and having kids and all that other stuff. So dealing with the reality of that. And I saw it in so many different factions where, and now I don't have to be specific about characters because I don't, but one thing it showed me was a person who wants to be upwardly mobile might not be a good fit for somebody who wants to be satisfied. And that became a problem because what wound up happening was, at the end of the day, a person can't follow their dreams if their dreams are bigger than their family. Because somebody in the family is going to make it about the family, which, for other people, they'll say, and the sad contradiction of it is, and I say this from a male point of view, if you're a man following your dreams, you're going to get punished. You're going to get punished. Even if your dreams are beneficial for the family. A guy's lost his wife, but he had to pay his wife, but he lost his wife. She left. You lose the opportunity to protect your wife because you're trying to let your wife fulfill her dream. The dream of making a whole lot of money, you lose the family because it's like, you don't get what you sold. You sold us out. We're going to benefit off of the money, but you sold us out. And, people's dreams don't blend with family. And that becomes an issue. The other thing was, maybe if you're out there searching for something, that's not a bad thing. But even if you find it, are you still empty? Because I think that was a major message where people sweated, I'm going to find my purpose. I'm going to walk in my purpose. Or I'm going to find my passion in life. But what if you find your passion and you go about it and then you've achieved in your passion or in your purpose and it's not good enough? Then what? And the thing about it is you either evolve or die. So either you're growing or dying. So, of course, it might not be good enough. You see a higher mountain, you want to climb that because you're growing. But you growing might kill relationships. And that sucks. The other thing that I saw near the end of it, it's the ideology that moms can be better parents than fathers. Just because, like fathers are lost when it comes to parents, a father can do good deeds, but it don't necessarily count. A mother can make mistakes and it don't necessarily count against them. And how the mothers are allowed to make mistakes that fathers can't. Like keeping your kid away from their father for 10 years. It's like, that's how, she was just trying to protect the baby. It's not cool. But mom can do that. Moving your kid to Ghana because you want to get a divorce. And y'all live in New York, but you want to move to Ghana. My baby needs it because, they can go to a place where people, their complexion, her complexion, and they know her hair. That is not a reason to move your child from New York to Ghana because they're like her complexions and they know her hair. Like that don't even make sense. But a mother could do that. That's irrational if a father does it. You know, they're having to be there for the gay son, and it's like my wife, if she was here, I know she would be able to handle this, but I can't. It's like, okay, you know, dealing with, Q dealing with the fact that his daughter don't call him dad. You know what I'm saying? Don't call him dad because she wasn't raised to. So he's just Uncle Quentin and Godfather Quentin, but not dad even when she knows his dad because she wasn't raised that way. And it's like, and he's got to deal with that. That's an issue. It's an issue. The other thing, maybe, I guess from a female point of view, relationships falter. And I think in some ways, it's like you want a man in your life to take care of the big things, and you want to be able to freelance. But when you freelance, he's got to support it. And maybe he has time, maybe he doesn't. But maybe he has time, maybe he doesn't. So the freelancing is a part of it that it's like, everybody needs their own freedom, but it comes at a cost. Now, the most important thing about this is that I see is your friends. When your friends are family, they are there for you in ways your family are not. Now, my older cousin used to tell me this when I was younger, and he said, "Listen, man, you got friends in high school, and you're gonna be cool with some of them. But truth be told, the friends you make in college might be the ones that stick out the most, because y'all going from childhood to adult literally with each other. So those might be your friends that you stick with the most. And what it showed is like people who went to college together, they bonded and they never parted. And the crazy part about it is, what I don't see as much anymore of, they were accepting of all their personalities. And I think that's what's missing sometimes, that people don't want to talk about your friends being different from each other. Sometimes you're similar, but sometimes you're different. And because you're different, because you're similar, you can connect, but because you're different, you can all be there in different ways for each other. And the best part about it was, there was no hating on each other, really. People have issues, they clash about certain things, but I would say the Lance character, he was the one that reached fame and fortune first, right? And then because he was successful, they knew they could be successful, so they all reached some type of fortune and accomplishment. All of them did, because instead of hating on Lance, they all went their own way and became excellent in what they did. Harper was a writer. Merge did the school thing. Jordan did the corporate exec thing. Shelby did the social media thing. Q did the business thing. So it was one of those things where, if you don't hate on each other, you all can grow. And everybody needs to reconnect. Everybody's there for each other's events, and you forget how important family and friendship is until when you're seeing people who are, in their 40s and 50s still tight with each other, still cool with each other, still checking on each other, still checking on each other's kids. And their kids can go to them and be free, like not just be free, but be welcome, and be able to do things and able to talk and whatnot. So to me, that was a great thing. Now, one of the things that I would say, and I'm gonna touch on Merch's character when I say this. Merch and Lance. Lance was supposed to be the alpha male, right? Because Lance was a football player. He was the big, strong, handsome one. And Merch was supposed to be the beta guy, right? Super nice guy, accommodating this, that, and the third. And the thing about it was, Lance was, when he had angry outbursts, it was accepted because everybody accepted Lance. If Merch got angry, he felt like I'm just supposed to swallow it because I'm supposed to be the soft one. And when Merch started training, just as an outlet, became a fighter, he started fighting. He didn't feel weak anymore. But the cool part about it, his boys didn't look at him as weak anyways. But it was like, Merch got that dog in him. That's nice, and it was happy for him because he needed an outlet. But Merch grew to become an alpha male, but nobody saw him as one. See what I'm saying? And I think, like some guys, it might take you years to become the quote unquote alpha male that you may want to be, and that's okay. And because you might be a nice guy, people can't see you as being that assertive or aggressive, even though you may be, and that sucks, but that's the way it goes sometimes. The other thing, sometimes you can be too proud for your own good. And Merch said something, and there was like, about a particular character. Every time you got to choose between yourself and doing the right thing, you choose yourself. And sometimes, it's hard to be with a friend or somebody who will choose themselves over doing the right thing. And I think that moral dilemma, some people can't accept it. Like, we all have flaws. But when you have a bunch of friends that all have flaws and they accept each other's flaws, but they'll call each other on it, and it might take years. It might take decades to say, man, listen, da 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 da. And it sucks. But some people need to know that, some people need to know that your friends will really get at you. And for your own good. But sometimes we listen, sometimes we don't. And that's the other thing. Like, just because somebody gives you good advice, it doesn't mean you're going to take it. Sometimes the situation has to blow up for them to tell you. Didn't I tell you this was going to happen because you didn't want to do X, Y, and Z, or if you did X, Y, and Z, you need to take some advice and listen. So, we have issues sometimes taking advice from people because this movie showed that people weren't better than people. People were just different. But sometimes it's hard to take advice from a person because they're different also. Because like I don't think like that, Now, the controversial thing I will say, when I talk about the agenda part, and I got to speak about this in a sense. Let me take the agenda thing next. They did touch on how when a family divorces and splits up, the direction. Mom got what she wanted. She's holding fast. Kids crying in the car with mom on the way to Ghana. Dad's in the house crying. And I think that was a thing to show because it's so easy to say, like, even if you have a family, it's so easy to say, well, you know what? Sometimes people think that it's not a dad could just let go of their kids and just move on like it's nothing. And that's not true. You know, I think people because the mother sacrifices day to day. You know, that becomes problematic when it's so it's so customary to say, hey, the kid could just go with me and hey, blah blah blah, we good. It's like, no, not in this scenario. I would say with all the mothers involved, they had more reign over the situation because the mothers they were all girls, so you should understand that moms and girls is a better fit. So since there were no quote unquote boys or heterosexual boys, you didn't necessarily see the dads get a chance to flex their parenting muscles, right? So that becomes an issue because even when I was talking about the agenda part, and I get it, even when we're talking about Wakanda Forever and all that, I get the erasure of black men, and I get the erasure of young black men, and I get the erasure of black men that are leaders, like pushing them, putting everybody out the pasture. I get how it looks on camera. I get that. But part of the problem is also when you got people in the writers' room like, daddy don't count. It becomes a BLM thing. We don't need men. We can do non-binary parenting, and there could be just we don't want no toxic masculinity, blah blah blah. And even in that, you see how people that are adults come to figure out that this ain't necessarily good, because when it gets real, you can't go back. Now, the other thing about the agenda thing, there's a scene in there where the son has a boyfriend, because the son, goes AWOL, disappears, vanishes, like he's gone, right? Because he don't feel accepted. So now they hunting for him, and get police search and all that other stuff. X, what's up? Not a police searching for him and all that, and his dad's going crazy, hoping his son ain't gonna come up, in a morgue or something. And they go to the guy that his boyfriend's parents' house, and the kid is, being a little bit of a smart aleck, because he's like, look, do you know where my son is? And he's like, act like he's not gonna tell him. And at that point, I was like, see, this is the problem with this agenda thing, where it does show, but it ain't just the agenda like the rainbow agenda. It's also this, the young generation think every situation they have some kind of leverage to hold over an adult. When in that kind of situation, truth be told, as a parent, you would have had every right to yank that kid by his neck and break his nose. Like, dude, I'm looking for my son. I think he might wind up missing, and you know where he at. Or so you think you're just gonna sit there snobby like, my parents like me because I can be out, but since yours can't, I can't. I'm not gonna tell you where your son is. It's like, and the parents got to sit there and be like, we love our child, and it's like, no, bro, no, that's not. Same thing with one of the younger daughters who can get an attitude, and Q has to tell her, I pay all the bills in this house, and I can't get no respect in my own house. And to me, it's a bit of a generational thing, because one of the messages that there's a through line, especially when you go from one generation to the next. And I've seen this in life, not just in this. So you got a guy that was a professional athlete, a guy who became a well-acclaimed writer, a guy who took over his dad's business, a guy who started basically schools, private schools out of a dream. And then you got and a girl who became a corporate juggernaut. Now, 4 of those people Shelby became a social media success, and they all met at college, right? Just use the core that met at college. And from all those accomplished people, it looked like a bunch of kids that ain't gonna be able to make it. That's what it looks like. Like, dad's accomplished, mom's accomplished, auntie's accomplished, You know, but what do you? I just want to go shopping and buy nice shoes. That's not an accomplishment. What are you gonna do? I'm just gonna be on my phone and have an attitude, but I'm gonna live in this deluxe apartment in the sky. That's not. You're not gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna make it. And um, I think that's one of the things that, you know, a lot of times people like myself, you know, I'm like I'm Gen X, so I'm at the tail end of Gen X. Um, but people like myself look at, say, millennials and zillennials or whatever, and it's like a lot of y'all don't really know what it is to get it out the mud and struggle. Y'all just see your Gen X parents, the ones who wasn't screw ups, got you living real comfortable. And as my aunt and my grandmother would say, you don't know your elbows from your asshole, you know? And y'all just out here just like la 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 in life, and you're not gonna make it. And you know, just because you're around greatness don't mean you great. You around greatness. You gotta be great. And that was part of the conversation, even that I saw, and part of that mini series. That was one of the more important scenes. Also, when the father had to tell the son, "Dude, you don't own nothing. Everything you got is something that I paid for. You don't own anything. You know, just walking around, feeling yourself, and you know, expensive clothes that you can't afford to buy because you don't work really, you know, or you don't have you don't have a work ethic. You have a clout ethic. You know, some people, and that's the issue. Like, you know, a work ethic and a clout ethic is two different things. You know, it may, it ain't that old. You know, well, we all old. Forget it. But that's a whole nother thing about the show, the movie, the miniseries that dawned on me. The other thing was this: because they were working like corporate America media, like all of them, most of them were tied to media. Is, you know, Harper's are tied to media, Jordan's are tied to media, and even Lance, you know, because of sports thing, is tied to media. You see people, you know, it kind of shows that people don't know what they want, or they want what you give them. And just because, you know, because they were showing even a thing about a black movie, like a black movie could get bad reviews from white people because white people don't want black movies to have good reviews. So that was even in there, right? And what's up? But if it makes money, that, you know, that's what counts. Like, yeah, well, I don't like it because it sucks and the characters this, and I don't like the characters. I don't. This is not a true American story. Blah blah blah. And then you see, and then you have black people who didn't want too pro-black. You know, who, I don't like the movie because the brother ain't making about the brothers, and the brothers is with the brothers, and the brothers sisters, and the brothers, even though it's a black environment, it's probably HBCU. It ain't enough brothers, and it ain't enough brother and sister, and enough for me, brother. But, you know, it'll get bad reviews, but then people will like it, you know. And then, you know, one of the things that tied into that with even Shelby was, you know, she went from a real, like Atlanta, from a real housewife of Atlanta type girl to being on The View. And when she started, she wasn't a big, bold character. She had to tone it down to become a debater, which I didn't know. But she was like, she used to be on the debate team. So when she started debating, it was like, it shocked everybody. And it's like, yeah, because people don't think about people as multifaceted. And because you don't think of people as multifaceted, you know, it'll blow your mind when it happens. Another thing for the ladies, right? So Nia Long's character, Jordan, she had an assistant, a young sister, that was like, you know, she was her assistant. And her assistant had to tell her, like, you know, her assistant was watching, like, somebody she looks up to climb the corporate ladder, the you go girl kind of thing. But then the assistant has to tell her, like, you don't take care of yourself. So what use is climbing the corporate ladder if you're going to mess around and keel over one day from the stress? Like, is it worth it? And I think that was an important thing because you know, I got to see the dynamic of, you know, even women watching other women do things, and you know, the all of the dynamics of, do you want to be a juggernaut in the workforce, or do you want to be free and do this and do that, which, you know, is a part of the other thing. Um, I would say Sanaa Lathan's character. Dang, I keep forgetting her name. Robyn. Um, she was looking for freedom, and that's a whole nother thing. Because I think she was like living under the shadow of her husband. Because in the beginning, she wanted to stay. They were at a resort for the wedding. She wanted to stay at the resort. Like, we could just live here forever. Like, nah. You know. And then she went back to the community, and she was, you know, working in the kitchen for the community and feeding the homeless and the people who weren't who didn't have food or whatever. That was dope. And then she wanted to have a restaurant. And the thing about it was, that was interesting about the restaurant thing to me was, they found a location, but they lost the location. But for me, she didn't try to find another location. She was like, "Oh, forget it." You know, that's how I looked at it. But then when it was time to go to Ghana, you know, Mama got this one queued up. You know, but when it was time for her to just, you know, she went to Ghana and it was cool, and then she found herself in Africa. And I think that's one of the other things where I get it. So I'm not going to knock it when I say this. There are Black people who don't like America, don't like the feeling of it, don't like the, you know, the being around people who don't like you 24/7. You know, and I think her character was partially that, because when she was she felt home in the islands. I want to say that was Jamaica. She felt home in Jamaica because it wasn't all the stress of, you know, white supremacy hovering over her head where she was at. And in Harlem, she was helping the people, but you was helping the people because of the umbrella of white supremacy that's keeping them down. So the movement of Ghana, I think she just wanted to be around Black people, not all these white people, because I don't want to play all these games. And I get it. So I gotta say that part. I do get it. So it touched on just wanting to just go. And in some ways, I think she wanted her daughter to experience the world without the umbrella of white supremacy. But it's in Ghana too. It's in Africa too. I hate to break news to you. But I got that. At the end of the day, like I said, it's a great series in my opinion. You know, and I'm being pro-Black. I'm Black, y'all. Blackly Black. But it does touch on a lot of things that go on in the community. And I think, and I say this, and I'm going to start shutting it down because I didn't realize I've been on here for like almost an hour. I think the most important thing that I took, because where the miniseries starts and where it ends, it got to take you there, right? Because from where it starts, you wouldn't believe it where it ended. I think the most important message is, it's okay to take life's journey, because you don't want to live a life where you go nowhere. And it's cool to have people that are around you who care about you on whatever journey you're going on. And even when y'all good times, and even when y'all have bad times, even if it helps them or if it hurts them, they're still there for you to say, look, this is your path that you got to take because it's the best thing for you. So do it. It shows that, you know, everybody needs their time and space to be them, in the sense of I can't walk in your shoes. You know, I can't walk a mile in your shoes, but I'll meet you in a mile, and I see you there and salute that you got what you got, because everybody was doing something different, and everybody was going through the ups and downs of doing what they are driven by internally, and that was like I would say Jordan and Hill Harper's character, like all of the characters really, but using Tay Diggs' character Hill Harper as I think he's the character for that, where you're driven by something internally, and it hurts you. It's hurting you if you can't fulfill it. You know. Oh yeah, the other thing. You can't be mad at somebody that you didn't communicate with, because that was brought up in the miniseries, where if somebody can tell you who they are, and what they want to do, and you get mad at them because you can't tell them who you are, what you want to do, and you're mad at them because they should know, that's not real. You got to tell them that, you know. But at the end of the day, I think all of those things end up in it's a must see. You know, you're gonna see what you will in there. If you can watch it, I mean, if you can't watch it now, watch it later. It'll be worth it. And it's a lot. It's because it's like 8 hours. It's a binge watch, you know. But it's gonna be a long binge watch. It's the holiday season, so I think it's worth it. You know, you could watch it a few episodes a night if you want to. Everything is good. You know, like I said, there's some things you're gonna like, some things you're gonna go, but overall it's great. Overall it's great. So I'm gonna end right there, man. And I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
It looks like a job for Superman.
Do this,
Spoken from the lips of the young or the old, bear a name.
Yeah. Gotta put it all in.
And they are Superman.
All the way. I guess I'm taking off the cake through the glasses in the trash. Being super is great, saving y'all is such a drag. Even God took a break, me I ain't coming back. I got one life to live, if you don't like it, that's your ass. Cause nobody saved me, plus when I talk, I'm just a peon. I could use somebody just like I'm the kings of neon. This world is cold as ice, mixed with salt, mixed with freon. They got me pissed off, but that's better than being peed on. For eons, human beings took kindness for weakness. When you constipated, you start to appreciate shit. Put before you life and death, and you just gotta choose. The kryptonite life means you still follow the rules. If your credit's messed up or your bills ain't paid, then it's getting disconnected. Can't nobody say the day. And I can fly, leave a building in a single bound, but I can't stand fair weather friends, and I just fly around. My super friends is Justice League. Only folk I kick it with. Kill Lex Luthor, so what, we had to finish it. Kids play games and adults play for keeps. And me, I play to win, but I ain't playing in these streets. And life is not a joke, then again it ain't this serious. Superman can say the day, but God can say the Superman. Saga of the kryptonite, life just ended. You enjoy listening? Man, I finished it. Lois, come holler at me. I got an ice couch. Thank you for coming out, listening. I knew you would like it because we made it. I'm so frigid and so fly.